What's up, everyone? All right, well, I guess it was bound to happen sooner or later. Red Day recap, and this is going to be, well, gosh, you know what? This is actually my first Red Day in the month of May. So it's been a while since I've had to do a Red Day recap. Last one wasn't, well, it was back in April. I guess it was the last day of the month. But today's a Red Day recap, down $6,400. Ugh, really don't want to be that far in the red. So where did things go wrong? Well, you know what? I would sort of look back and say that the last few days have been very difficult. Friday, not easy at all. Only made $29 before that trade on Uber. Ended up finishing the day up $900. Yesterday, almost no progress whatsoever. Only $130. Today, by 9:45, I was actually down about $500, and it just wasn't feeling the momentum. And then NVAX hit the scanners and started squeezing up. And when it first hit, it was about 680. I think it was already up about 50 cents. And I was like, well, the float's too high. I know it's a recent reverse split, but I don't think it's, I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it alone. Next thing I know, it's at 7, 710, 720, 730, 740, 750, 767. And I'm like, well, geez, this thing is moving. And rate of change is what I look at. First 1 minute pullback, I jump in. It pops up only about 5 cents and then drops 50 cents. Oh, so ugly, so brutal. And so just like that, I lost $5,500 on that trade, or maybe it was $5,800 or whatever it was. And that put me down $6,400 on the day. Now, looking at the stock 15, 20 minutes later, it dropped down, it popped back up, dropped down, and then ended up going up to 790, which is super frustrating. But the reality is, rules are rules. And I would say on this one, I was aggressive on share size, maybe too aggressive considering that it float-wise didn't really fit into the perfect criteria. Although it was reverse split, recent reverse split, it was moving quickly, and I guess it did end up going to 790. So it's not that I had totally the wrong idea. I just was a little too aggressive. And when you have a 1 minute micro pullback and it pops up 5 or 10 cents and then flushes 50 cents, that does happen sometimes, and it's always disappointing. And when it happens, I usually am like, I'm done with that stock. This stock has betrayed my trust. I can never trade it again. And so for that reason, even though I could have switched to my other account and kept trading, I was like, no, I'm done. My daily max loss is if I'm down below 2,000, I don't keep trading. If I'm down like 2,500, I will sometimes go ahead and trade in my second account. I have a $2,000 max loss in both accounts. So that puts my daily max loss at about $4,000. But when I have one trade that just wipes it out, then I'm usually just like, you know what, I don't want to really get into trying to dig myself out of a hole that's that big at 10:30, 10:45, 11 a.m. It just doesn't usually go well. So writing's on the wall. Today was choppy, and that last trade could have been avoided if I traded with smaller size, but the thing was moving. It was taking off. It looked like it was going to go right to $8, and it just faked me out, and then it went. So that's the way it goes sometimes. Live to trade another day. It'll put me up still around $42,000 on the month, something like that. I really can't complain. We've got still here a solid a couple weeks left in the month, so lots of time to still get myself back on track. But what I've noticed on other months, sometimes I'll have an incredibly strong start, and then it just totally dies down. So this week I'm down $6,400 on the week versus making $30,000 last week. So it's like totally different, and I think that happens a lot. You'll have a week or 2 weeks of really, really hot momentum, and then things just go quiet. So gotta sit tight, wait for those A quality setups, be aggressive on those. This one wasn't A quality, I was a little too aggressive on it. So I'm gonna pay my dues, sit back a little bit. Gonna take a couple of days to dig myself out of this hole, but it will happen, and I'll finish the month most likely back at all-time highs on the month, somewhere over 50,000, maybe 60, 75 is still within reach. All right, so as always, questions on today's trades, on the recap, leave them below. I'll come back through and answer them this afternoon, and I'll see you all first thing tomorrow morning, 9:15 for pre-market analysis. All right, see you guys then. right, everyone. Well, today's a red day recap. This is obviously a little disappointing. It's the first red day recap of the month of May, and May has been a great month overall. It's been a great month. The last few days have been a little on the difficult side. Let's start by kind of talking about what was on the gap scan this morning and then how that ended up turning into a red day. So if I go to time frame here, historical date, we'll run this gap scan for 9:25 a.m. And let's see. Let's go look at the top leading gapper. All right, so leading gapper was SAEX. You can see I'm down $715 on that stock. I tried to do a gap and go strategy setup on it, which was buying the first pullback, the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. Right here was the high, pre-market high. So I bought right here at 425. I jumped in looking for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high here and anticipating a break over 430. It hit a high of 434. So, that's not really what we would call the best resolution. There was an opportunity to sell for a small profit, but then, it flushed down and popped back up, and I sold some of it break even and some of it as it popped back up right in here. So, basically in the first minute of the day, today I was down 700, which obviously is not ideal, but sometimes happens and isn't the end of the world. I can often recover from a red trade like that. It didn't put me down past my max loss. So SAEX was our leading gapper, and I was, mindful of the fact that our leading gapper is only up 20%. That's not like 40, 50, 60%. It's only 20%. So, leading gapper is a little on the small side here today. 2.7 million share float. It did have news, although this stock also has a bit of a history of doing some false breakouts. So 700 was acceptable. I didn't want to risk big on it, and I think that was fine. So that was SAEX. Second leading gapper, WISA, only 19,000 shares of volume, ended up opening lower. AYTU was also on the gap scan, only made 156 on that one. The thing with this is that whenever you have a stock that gaps up and then gives back most of the move, I'm always a little cautious on it. We have seen some days where stocks look just like this and the bell rings and they go right back up to 290 or higher. So it's not to say it can't happen. I just don't usually expect it to happen. I took my first trade on it right here, anticipating the break over the $0.50. So I got in at, I think it was 45 or 46. As I saw volume coming in, the break of the $0.50 was also kind of, just this psychological level that I was watching. So jumped in it, only hit a high of 51 and then dropped back down. I got back out of that really quickly. And then I got back in right here on this 1 minute pullback and it hit a high of, sorry. I didn't get in on that one. I got in on this one right here. Okay, so I got back in here for the break over the highs, and that ended up being another failed setup. That was this 5 minute setup right here. So only made $156 on 2 trades on AYTU, no follow through. SLDB, you can see I lost $37 on it. This one, kind of annoying to look at it and see that it actually has moved up quite a bit. But it was a gap down reversal. And generally I'm cautious on gap down reversals simply because when the stock is gapping down 30%, it's clearly a sign of weakness. And there will be a lot of people that are underwater and are going to try to just, sell as it pops up. So the trade that I took was right here on this 1 minute setup for a break over the high a day of 614. And as you can see, it broke by like 7-8 cents and then flushed back down, popped back up. And so I got out of that basically just below break even for a $37 loss. So that's fine. It came back up again and I was like, no, I'm not going back in it. It did end up popping up here again to first to 22 and then to 43, but then it came right back down here to 609. So seeing how it's kind of popping up and then failing, popping up and failing, pops up, and then it starts to open up here a little bit more around 11 a.m. So whatever, that's not home run potential, that's base hit stuff, and that's going to be tricky in any case. So I left this one alone, just not easy to trade overall, just annoying. This number right here, I think is the price of my last exit. I think that's what that means. Almost positive. So it's not the cost. It's definitely not the average cost. I think it's the last exit. So anyways, and then we had NVAX. So at this point, before NVAX, I was down 500 on the day, 595 actually. And I was like, all right, well, you know, obviously we're not seeing, you know, the best follow through, but then NVAX pops up and I see it squeezing. And when I first looked at it, it was right about here. And I was like, well, geez, that's up like 84 cents. I don't know. I mean, it's a reverse split, but the float, according to Trade Ideas, NVAX is 400 million shares. So I was like, 437 million share float. That seems kind of like it's too high. But hey, it is up, you know, 80 cents there. And so I kind of pull it up and I'm watching it, and then it breaks 86. And look at this, it rips all the way here up to 767. And so now I'm like, okay, this thing is clearly moving. So this 1 minute pullback right here, I jumped into. Similar to this 1 minute pullback. It's a brief 1 minute pullback. And at this point, the stock is increasing in volume. It's moving higher. It wasn't yet forming a doji. And so I bought the first candle to make a new high. And it pops up here to 758. So it actually broke by 14 cents. And then it drops from 758 to 691. And as you can see, I stopped out at, and I not only got in, I added. I got in and then added for the break over high a day. So I was in at 44 and then added at 62 and 56. So, you know, this one I was being aggressive on. I was trying to scalp it, and I ended up finally stopping out of it down here at 27, 14, 99, 97, and 13. So, you know, on this one, this 1 minute pullback, it just ended up, you know, totally failing. And it's disappointing that it didn't work better, because this was a decent setup. You know, 1 minute micro pullback, first candle to make a new high is right here, pops up to 58, and then flushes down here to 691. So, you know, as I look at this, I stopped out, took a big loss on it, and then, you know, it comes back up. And as you can see here, the 5 minute setup, it ends up going back to, let's see, this was, where was this? You know, back up to 58, which was right here. And then boom, it goes up to 790. So, you know, it's annoying, but you know, here's the deal. I have a max loss on my account, and when I'm down below my max loss, I can't keep trading. And in this case, I was down below my max loss. So I couldn't keep trading in this account. I could have switched to my other account, but because I was down 6,400, I was like, you know what, it's just not even worth it. I don't want to make things worse, and I don't want to have, being down 6,500 is a bad day. I don't want to take another $2,000 loss in my my other account and end up, you know, losing more. So just left it alone. It'll be what it is. And you know, generally I don't like to lose more than I make in one good green day. And you know, looking at the calendar for the month of May, I've had some great days. Two $15,000 days, which were both awesome. An $8,000 day, a $7,500 day, and then a couple of smaller green days. So, you know, this is, on average, it's giving back about 3 days of profit. My daily average so far this year, let's see, 88, 89, 90. This is the 90th day of the year, and I've been averaging, let's see, $2,155 per day, which is not bad. So unfortunately, this does give back 3 days of profit, of average profit. You know, but that's just sometimes the way it goes, and I'll just have to keep the losses tight tomorrow so I don't have a second red day, just kind of reduce the risk a little bit. NVAX, it met my criteria of moving quickly from 6 all the way to 767. But that 1 minute pullback just ended up being a really big rejection. I wasn't anticipating it and ended up costing me, pretty big. So that's part of the deal. It's the way it goes. 10,000 shares, 50 cents. And, just like that, you're down $5,000 on the trade. So being aggressive sometimes doesn't pay off. I just was aggressive on the wrong stock today. And in fact, if we look at this, highest volume of the day was on that candle right there, and it was a red volume. So yeah, I could have gotten back into it, but probably not worth it. So live to trade another day. I don't ever want to lose more. I don't ever want to take a loss that's going to jeopardize my ability to keep trading. So as of right now, I'm up about $42,000 on the month, down from being up closer to 50 grand. And let's see, since my last red day, let's look at how I've done. Since my last red day, I had made about $48,000. So that was a really nice hot streak, made $48,000, crossed over the $1 million mark in my small account. I still have about $30,000 of cushion between me and the $1 million level. And that was something that was really important. Remember, I said that I wanted to cross that $1 million level and, not dive back down below it. So even after today, I'm still up 30 grand off that level. So, let's say I have, a couple days here of sideways. Well, I've still got a nice cushion here of about 30 grand. And then that can, open up for the next leg up. So, it is part of the deal with trading. You're never going to be right 100% of the time. You're never going to be able to avoid losses. I'm right just about 67, 70% of the time. And, today's a day where I just got on the wrong side of a couple stocks, couldn't get myself into the green and stay green. And it's the way it goes. So, always an opportunity to learn. NVAX, probably should have just left it alone completely, given that the float was questionable. But, thought maybe it had a little more in it and pretty much bought it just a bit too high. But that's okay. Be back at it first thing tomorrow morning, as usual. Get back on the horse. That's what it's about as a trader. It's not about how many times you fall down. It's not about how many times you lose. It's about how many times you get back up and try to recover. And no doubt I will. This, of course, is a tiny loss in comparison to what I went through in March when I lost, 50 grand over the course of about 2 weeks, and then had to spend the next 6 weeks digging myself out of the hole. But I got myself out of the hole, and I'm back at all-time highs, before today. So, I'm now $6,400 off the all-time highs in my account, the small account being all-time highs right around 1,037,000. So no reason and no right to complain. Just got to take these things in stride. All right, everyone. So we'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Hopefully we've got better stocks on the scanners and can at least have a green day and just kind of clear the slate from today's choppiness. All right, so that's the game plan. We'll see you guys in the morning. If you're still watching, you must have really enjoyed that video. So why not subscribe and get email alerts anytime I upload new content? Remember, when you subscribe, you become a member of the Warrior Trading family.